Well, this is all pretty much about the Columbia River, so let's talk about the Columbia River for a moment. This river rises in the Rocky Mountains of British Columbia, Canada, and it flows northwest for a while, then south into the U.S. in the state of Washington. And it then turns to form the border between Washington and the state of Oregon before emptying into the Pacific Ocean. The river is 1,243 miles long, and its largest tributary is the Snake River. The Columbia River's drainage basin is roughly the size of France, and it extends into 7 U.S. states and 1 Canadian province. It is the 4th largest river in the United States by volume, and has the greatest flow of any North American river entering the Pacific Ocean. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what's on this map. This is the Columbia River coming down from Canada. It's dammed up by the Grand Coulee Dam to form the Franklin D. Roosevelt Lake. Water that comes through the dam and its 3 hydroelectric plants continues to flow as the Columbia River headed toward the Pacific Ocean. Banks Lake is a 27-mile-long reservoir adjacent to Roosevelt Lake. Water can be pumped into Banks Lake for use later when there's not enough water in Roosevelt Lake to provide the needed electricity. And here is the Grand Coulee Airport, 3W7. We'll be taking off from here in the Airbus H145 for our tour of the area. And that is Banks Lake, just off to the left of the aircraft. And coming up on the right side of the aircraft is Electric City. Off to the left side of Banks Lake, you'll see a couple of small dams and a channel that lets water flow from Banks Lake back through the hydroelectric system at the Grand Coulee Dam. And coming up on the right side of the aircraft is the little town of Grand Coulee. And dead ahead of us is Lake Franklin D. Roosevelt. This 550-foot tall dam was constructed between 1933 and 1942. It originally had only two powerhouses. The third powerhouse was completed in 1974 to increase energy production, and that made the Grand Coulee Dam the largest power station in the United States by nameplate capacity. Just below the helicopter is the community of Elmer City. And off to the left is the Columbia River on the output side of the dam. And from here, the Columbia River makes its way eventually to the Pacific Ocean. And we'll be flipping a U-ey right up here and heading back toward the dam. Off to the left and to the far right of the dam are the three power generating stations. Also off to the right you can see a little strip of green. That's actually a park that's along the river, and my wife and I have visited there and had a nice time and a picnic in that park. So we'll play a little music for you now as we fly back to the Grand Coulee Airport, 3W7, and land this thing. Thanks very much for riding along on this sightseeing tour of the Grand Coulee Dam. Hope you had a good time and will join us on future tours.